Hi everyone, and welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're looking at booking hotels, booking them online and then what happens after. Now, hopefully, now we're at the start of 2021, we'll be able to do this before the end of this year.
Yes, we can hope.
Although I have managed, back in the sort of summertime, we did a couple of hotel bookings. I took some time off and just stayed during the week when the prices weren't high.
Oh, good.
Went to just Neihu, stay in a decent hotel in Neihu.
Nice.
Stay in a decent hotel in Taoyuan.
Okay.
It's basically just a chance to get away. These places have pools. They have, kids' rooms for my son to run around in. They have a nice breakfast. And it just, since we can't travel overseas, it's just a great way to kind of break up the sort of the time.
A staycation or a local vacation.
Pretty much, yeah. The hotel we had, it had a couple of indoor pool, outside pool, slides, all sorts of stuff. It was very nice to stay in.
That's good fun.
When was the last time you stayed in a hotel?
I'm trying to think. I think it would probably be last year when I went to Shanghai and I stayed in a lovely old hotel there right on the Bund.
Cool.
It was very cool. It was the kind of hotel tourists stop by to take pictures of, and we got to kind of walk in the front door and use the elevator. So it was kind of nice. I like the hotels with a bit of history. Feels like you're staying in a museum or something like that. So it's kind of a nice thing to do. But, hotels are great places if you're on holiday, if you have the money, or as you say, just to get away from your boring old home.
Daily lives for a bit, yes.
And even in your local town, in your local neighborhood. It's nice for a little change of scenery.
Exactly. But whatever you do, you have to book them online. And that's what we'll be reading about in day one of this article.
Reading.
Holiday hotels. Booking online. Martin and Sophie are looking at a travel booking website.
What about this hotel? It's right in the middle of the city and it's very cheap.
No way. Look at the hotel's star rating. It only has 1 star. And it has terrible reviews. I'll bet it's full of cockroaches and smells like wet socks.
Yuck, that sounds horrible. Okay, let's keep looking.
Martin keeps moving through the website.
This one's a bit fancier. It is a bit further out of the city, but it's close to a metro station.
Does the hotel offer free Wi-Fi? You know I can't live without it.
Yep, free Wi-Fi and breakfast is included too. It's $1,200 NT per night. Should I book it?
Let's do it. I'm so excited for our trip.
Okay, it's booked. Now we should probably start thinking about an itinerary. We've got 3 days and 2 nights in Tokyo. Where to begin?
Martin talks as he types in the search bar.
Best ramen restaurants in Tokyo.
So, the article is a dialogue. It's between Martin and Sophie, and we start by seeing that Martin and Sophie are looking at a travel booking website. So, something like, I guess, hotels.com is one of the more popular ones. Can you do hotels on Expedia? I can't remember.
Booking.com, I think there's another one.
That's another one.
Very similar.
Lots of these around to look at.
Absolutely. And so Martin kicks off our dialogue by probably showing Sophie a picture or something, or at least some information and the name of a hotel, and he wants to get her opinion. So he asks, what about this hotel? What do you think? Do you like it? What is your opinion? And then he points out a few things that he might like about it or that he thinks are good things about it. It's right in the middle of the city, he says, and it's very cheap.
But often when you see a really, really cheap hotel in the center of a big city, you wonder, well, what am I actually going to get? And Sophie has doubts about this hotel and says, no way.
Oh, dear. Okay.
Yeah. No way is an expression that means just no, not a chance. This is not going to happen.
It's a strong no. There is no way I am going to stay there, is basically what she's saying. You can't do anything to make me stay there. It's a strong no. And then she points out why she said no way, why she will never want to stay there. Look at the hotel's star rating. So she noticed something that maybe Martin didn't notice, or at least he didn't think was that important. The hotel's star rating. All right, I think you guys can probably guess what this is, right? When we see stars next to something, this is telling us its rating. What is a rating? Basically, it's like a score. It's like a grade. It's like if we're measuring it on a scale, usually with stars, a scale of bad to good or to really good. We use these star ratings to talk about movies or new TV shows or music that people might be listening to or watching these days, book reviews, restaurant reviews, even when you buy things online. They'll often have a rating or a grade from 0 to 5 or 1 to 10 or 1 star to 5 stars. The low number is usually a bad rating. The higher number is usually a good rating or score or grade, something like that. When we compare things, this helps us to sort of put them at a good level or understand where they are very quickly. And for example, for this word rating, this noun, we could say, this app allows people to write reviews and see other customers' ratings of local restaurants.
But what does Sophie say about this one? She says it only has 1 star and it has terrible reviews. So a review is a person's opinion of something. They've watched it, they've used it, they've read it, they've experienced it somehow, and they've got an opinion about it that they want to share. We often see these online. A rating, giving something, say, 2 stars or 4 stars out of 5, is one kind of review, a very short one. But a longer review could be a few hundred words describing what it was like to go there, eat there, and so on. A book or movie review could be pages of writing long, depending on how much detail you want to go into. For example, we could say, that new movie got terrible reviews. I don't think we should see it this weekend. So yeah, people said the movie wasn't good. We read the reviews and comments, maybe in the paper or online, and decided not to go.
Okay, so the rating's kind of the score, and the review might be the person giving the rating. They're explaining why they gave it that score. More information, the good things, the bad things, and then at the end, they'll sort of give you the full idea if it's worth it or not. And so Sophie hasn't read the review, but she's probably read reviews like this before or stayed at hotels with 1 star or heard about people's experiences, so she kind of explains what she would expect to find. She says, I bet it's full of cockroaches and smells like wet socks.
Ew.
Okay, without staying there, if someone had told me anything that the hotel was anything like that, I would say, yeah, it deserves probably 1 star, and I don't want to stay there. It's full of cockroaches, and it smells like wet socks. As we mentioned, she hasn't actually stayed there. She probably didn't even read the review. She says, I bet. When we say this, I bet, we're kind of saying this is what I expect. I'm quite confident of what I'm saying. I don't know for sure, and I'm certainly not betting my money, possibly, like gambling in some way. Just, I really think that I'm right about this. I may be wrong because I don't know 100%. I haven't checked, but I'm quite confident. I'm quite sure. I really think that what I'm going to say is true, even though it is a bit of a guess.
Yeah, and what she bets is that this place is full of cockroaches.
Ew.
If something is full of another thing, it has a large amount of that thing inside it. So a glass could be full of water or tea, a room could be full of people, and in this case, Sophie thinks the hotel room is full of, and therefore has a large amount of, cockroaches.
And cockroaches are something that you don't want to have anywhere you are, especially if you are somewhere inside. If you're in a forest picking up rocks, you might expect to find a cockroach under a rock, but if you're in your kitchen or bathroom and you turn on the lights at night and the cockroaches run across the counter or across the floor, you might not like that very much at all, because cockroaches are insects that we often associate with dirty places. It's actually a whole family of insects. There's the American cockroach, the German cockroach, the larger Asian cockroach, like we have here, that fly.
Ew.
And they're brown, and they're, get into places, as I said, kitchens, bathrooms. They, I don't know, they can basically survive almost anywhere. I think cockroaches are found everywhere from, Mount Everest to the South Pole to the hottest jungles of the world. They've been around a long time. So yes, even though we might not like them, we do have to admire them, because as it says in our example sentence, cockroaches are an ancient group of insects and have been around for over 320 million years.
Wow. Martin doesn't like the sound of it. He says, yuck, that sounds horrible. Yuck is one of those, it's almost not really a word. It's almost like the sound you make. Yeah. It just means you feel disgusted by something.
I think the Mandarin was aye.
Yes, that sounds about right. Martin also says that all this talk of cockroaches and smelling like wet socks sounds horrible. Horrible means terrible. It's awful. It's really, really bad. It's the sort of thing that makes your skin itch, makes you want to take a shower or run away from something.
Makes you say yuck.
Yeah, it could be a horrible smell. It could be a horrible movie, just a really, really awful movie. You could talk about people doing horrible things to each other. They're hurting each other. They're saying really mean things, that kind of stuff. And here's a particularly horrible example sentence. That cheesecake made with pidan and dried fish looks horrible.
Okay, so Martin is kind of finally giving up on this idea. This hotel is moved to the no list. He says, okay, let's keep looking. So, all right, we haven't found our hotel, but we're still going to do this. We just have to keep looking and find, hopefully, a better, cleaner one.
So we see that Martin keeps moving through the website. So he'll be clicking on different links, go, okay, next one, next one, next one.
Scroll.
See
what's
there.
And then he finds another one. All right, this one has a good look to it. In fact, the look is something that probably attracted him right away, because he says this one's a bit fancier. Okay, so fancier is a variation on fancy, which is an adjective which we use to talk about something that's nice, probably a little expensive looking, shiny, kind of golden. It looks like it might be very upscale, very 5-star, maybe also quite expensive. It might cost you a little bit more money, but you can have anything that's kind of fancy. You might wear a normal business suit, but if a man puts a flower on his, on the lapel of the jacket, or a colorful handkerchief, or wears some really shiny shoes, someone might say, "Ooh, you look fancy." That's not your normal business suit. Even though a business suit is quite nice, you can make it fancy by adding more attractive, more appealing, or more expensive looking things to it. So, you can go to lots of nice restaurants and have good food, but if the waiters are, wearing gloves, or the place has candles, or it's the kind of place you'd go for a very special dinner, that might be a fancy restaurant. For example, this is a fancy restaurant, so you can't wear shorts or sandals when you go to eat there. Another thing, of course, we should point out, if it's fancy, it will probably cost you more money.
Okay, so what do we know about this hotel that Martin's
fancy.
Found? And also, it is a bit further out of the city, but it's close to a metro station. So the first one they looked at was right in the middle. This one isn't so close to all the sites, but it is close to a metro station. The metro is the kind of general word we use to mean a subway system, basically some cars, trains that move around underground through different parts of the city and drop you off. There are lots of these around the world, and they all have different names. Some places call them the subway. In London, it's called the Underground or the tube in New York. It's just the subway, I think. We've got the MRT here, the MTR in Hong Kong.
Oh, yeah.
I forget the name of the one in Montreal.
The Metro.
The Metro.
Yep.
Okay.
Same as Paris.
Yeah, okay. So they're all given different names, and they're all just the same thing, that kind of network of trains that takes people around under and occasionally overground in the city. We see, for example, that every city's metro system will be busy at rush hour. There's an example sentence. So that's good. It means that even if they're not be able to walk to all the fancy spots, they can get on the underground, the MRT, the metro, and head to wherever they need to be.
Absolutely. All right, so Sophie is, not disagreeing. She thinks, yep, these are good things. It's fancy. It might be far away, but it's close to a metro station. That's all fine. But she has a few other concerns and questions. So she asks, does the hotel offer free Wi-Fi? And she explains why. I can't live without it. So she wants to have her internet access. She wants to be able to upload all her great holiday pictures to Instagram every night. And she doesn't want to pay for it because I guess some hotels you might have to pay extra to use the internet. But many hotels these days do offer free Wi-Fi. So basically free internet access from the hotel. They don't have to pay for it or, have special equipment. They can just use the hotel system for free, or at least as part of the cost of their room, not extra.
Yep, and Martin says, yep, free Wi-Fi.
Yay.
And breakfast is included too.
Cool.
So breakfast is part of the price. He then says the price. It's 1,200 NT dollars per night. Should I book it?
And Sophie agrees. She doesn't say yes. She just says, let's do it. Basically, yes, let's book that place. I agree, in other words. And then she adds very quickly, I'm so excited for our trip. So finally, they've got the place that they're going to stay all settled. That's not a question. We can assume that they already have their plane or train tickets or whatever, however they're getting there. So basically, all the big planning has been done. She can move on in her mind to just being really, excited, really looking forward to their holiday.
All right, and Martin says, okay, it's booked. So he's done his credit card details, entered his stuff, they've booked the rooms, and then he says, now we should probably start thinking about an itinerary.
Oh, good plan.
Yeah, your itinerary is exactly that. It's your plan. It's a plan of what's going to happen over a particular period. You could have a day one, a week one, a whole month one, something like that. And it's a plan of what's going to happen on every day at what particular time, and an itinerary will include all the details of transportation, times, places, where they're going to meet, where they're going to go, how they're going to get there. So what it is a full plan of everything they'll do on every day of their vacation and all the arrangements that they'll need to make, like coaches, bus trips, how to get to point A, how long they're going to spend there, and all the rest of that stuff. That's their itinerary.
You might be saying, but that sounds like a schedule. And well, in many ways, you're right. But as Pat mentioned, an itinerary might also have like how you're going to get to certain places, not just where and what time, but more details. So it's kind of like a schedule, but it has a few more details, especially when we're talking about going around and transportation to different places. And he says we've got 3 days and 2 nights in Tokyo. Where to begin? All right, so we know where they're going to Tokyo. That's good to know. And it's 3 days and 2 nights. So that's basically the time that they have to play with, the time that they have to plan for.
We then see that Martin talks either to himself, maybe to Sophie, as he types in the search bar. So he's gone to Google or Yahoo or something. He's now typing something. He's going to search for it. And he speaks out loud so that we know what he's going to search for. Which is
best ramen restaurants in Tokyo. All right, so there we go. We know that he's not super interested in the museums or seeing the royal palace there in Tokyo. He wants to go and eat noodles, eat ramen restaurants. And after he goes through the probably 15,000 ramen restaurant posts or, Google hits that he gets for that, he'll be able to narrow it down. I'm sure you can find a good list of top 10s.
I'm sure.
Or something like that. But that's a good place to start. So there you go. They're going to eat their way around Tokyo for the next 3 days.
Good thing to do. I don't blame them.
You could do that for 3 years and 2 nights.
Yes. Well, that's where we're going to leave them. Tomorrow we'll see what happens then they arrive. But right now we're going to go to today's For You Chat question. So our question is, when you're looking for a hotel, what's the most important thing to think about? And we want you to explain your thoughts. Give a reason.
That's a good question. I guess for me, it depends on why I'm staying in that hotel. You know, if it's just for a holiday, like you mentioned, where you're just trying to get away from home, you might go for something a little fancy, a little more expensive. But if I was traveling to a big, exciting city like Tokyo or New York, it might be the location, right? Because you don't want to be staying far away. So I think it would depend on what the goal of my holiday was, but certainly price and location would be near the top of the list.
Yep, those are two very important things, and unfortunately I now have to change the way I think, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. As a parent, I have to think child facilities.
Right.
Is this going to be a good place for the kid as well as me and my wife? Before, we could go, all right, we don't mind the two of us staying in a small room for a cheap price.
A cockroach or two is okay?
No, but it's got to be clean, but it can be cheap and very near the center and just giving us a chance to not worry too much because we know we're going to be out all the time. All we really need is a place to come back and shower and sleep. We can even go without a breakfast. But when you're traveling with a small child, you've got to think about the room needs to be a bit bigger and nicer because we need to get a bed for him. We maybe need a few more things in the hotel because we might not travel around as much. Things to play with, activities to do, all that kind of stuff.
The location, right? Because you're going to have to be carrying your kids.
Maybe, but
you know.
if you're going to stay at the hotel the whole time, then and just enjoy what it has, like I recently did in Taoyuan, you can just go, well, if the hotel's got enough fun stuff, then we only have to move it all once. Just get it there and then take it back again. So, yeah, family facilities is definitely now high up on my list. But that's all the time we have for today. Join us again tomorrow and we'll see how Martin and Sophie get on when they reach their hotel. See you then. Bye for now.
Take care.
Holiday hotels. Booking online. Martin and Sophie are looking at a travel booking website.
What about this hotel? It's right in the middle of the city and it's very cheap.
No way. Look at the hotel's star rating. It only has 1 star, and it has terrible reviews. I'll bet it's full of cockroaches and smells like wet socks.
Yuck, that sounds horrible. Okay, let's keep looking.
Martin keeps moving through the website.
This one's a bit fancier. It is a bit further out of the city, but it's close to a metro station.
Does the hotel offer free Wi-Fi? You know I can't live without it.
Yep, free Wi-Fi and breakfast is included too. It's $1,200 NT per night. Should I book it?
Let's do it. I'm so excited for our trip.
Okay, it's booked. Now we should probably start thinking about an itinerary. We've got 3 days and 2 nights in Tokyo. Where to begin?
Martin talks as he types in the search bar.
Best ramen restaurants in Tokyo.
Vocabulary Review. Rating. The restaurant lost customers after many people gave it low ratings on the internet. Review. Kelly loved the movie and wrote a review on a film website to say why she liked it. Cockroach. Cameron saw a cockroach running across the kitchen floor, and he killed it with a slipper. Horrible. Rita put a lot of salt in her tea by accident, and it tasted horrible. Fancy. The guests wore expensive and impressive clothes to the fancy dinner party. Metro. Most big cities have metro systems, like Taipei's MRT or New York's subways.
智慧小补帖
Itinerary.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net